Alright, the Pullman manual trucks brake tap doors closers. Shows the bearing, the steel pivot pin with the adjusting bolt, the locking cap screw, and swivel joint. And then we're going to increase the size of this, and then further read. Or disconnect the operating arm between the trap and the tap door. With the trap door loosen the locking with the cap screw, with the drive of the step of the flash, with the side skirt, with in contact with the trap door, with the forward adjusting bolt, with each of the pivot, the ladder, a movement with the shag with the hole, and the steel pivot pin with the rock step in all the directions. Check with that for the bearing wear. 3. Adjust the trap door. Remove the cover plate with the trap door pivot. Assembly. Reconnect with the operating between the step and the trap door. Figure 142A. By trim trowel and adjusting pivot to block per position with eliminating step of the movement of the operating, and yet have no strain and binding action proper to seam with the trap door. Again with the folding step without straining. Very important. Disconnect the arm. Apply with the cover plate and reconnect the arm. Alright. Figure 143 shows the trap door lock design H. 1 case bolts, 2 star, 3 star, the 4 lever pin, 5 pin, 6 bolt rivet, 7 lever rivet, 8 bolt spring, 9 lever spring. Alright, pneumatic, electrically locked door closer. Her description of the equipment consists of the operating engine of the pressure for the exhaust, equal electromagnetic valve, the time delay relay with the door reversing switch, door reversing cutoff switch, door latch switch, Poiters door switch, emergency door closing cylinder. On these cover the 3 types of the pneumatic electrical door closers. All parts of each step of the interchangeable exemption for the mounting bay for the gear segment of the complete with the unit with the non-interchangeable unit of the different model with the number. The door is attached with the 2 short staffs, one on the top and one at the bottom. With the bottom of the staff is the pivot of the bearing merely guide with the door with the top shaft of which for the door is hung extend with the compartment above the door with the engine is connected with the top shaft through the gear segment. The movement of the engine piston rotate with the door with the arc over about 90 degrees with the open and close of the operating engine for the operation. The piston sum of the operator engine has 2 different diameters of the piston chamber with the corresponding side with the figure 144 with the piston have the different air with the air pressure for the president of the bolt chamber of the piston. Large area exert for the greater 4 for the overcome with the lesser for the operating 4 for the smaller piston. Therefore the piston assembly move with outward closing the door. When the control circuit with the energize with the exhaust type of the magnetic valve of the door operator with the magnetic valve with the exhaust with the air pressure with the large cylinder with the operating engine with a large cylinder open to the exhaust with the constant pressure for the engine with the center port with the move of the piston assembly inward, thus the opening of the door. Remember the door from alarming the cushion of the device is incorporated within the engine. The door opens with the piston rapidly with the inward out unit sealing end of the cushion plunger contact with the engine with the large cylinder close with the free exhaust port with the brainer with the air pressure for the cylinder exhausted through the small oar for the cushioning. Plug the piston and continue with the stroke of the air cushion with the built up with the return of the engine with the speed cushion with the final movement of the door. Door operator engine incorporated for the constant speed feature of the door over the construction help with the opening with the air continue with the exhausting of the large cylinder of the engine of the replenishing with the air leaving the large cylinder with the maintain with the air with the cushion with the door when the relief will open with the normal speed compress with the air with the center port with the engine flow with the constantly with the plunger assembly pass out into the large cylinder chamber of the opening with the cushion plunge with the close with the door with the control circuit with the engine with the exhaust type of the magnet valve of the door operated with the bins for the air pressure with the large cylinder with the operator engine with the cover with the piston assembly with the engine to move with outward force and the constant line pressure in a small piston chamber lock with the air supplying. Just before the piston assembly reach for the end of the stroke with the direction of the air pressure switch build up with a small cylinder retard with the piston move with the cushioning fill movement over the door with figure 145 show the relation with the operator engine and the electrical emergency cylinder. Setting up of the door with the automatic operation of the porter, switch for the automatic with the position of the common circuit is complete with the coil with the pressure magnet valve with the valve with the air pressure for the engine through the exhaust magnet valve with the engine with the port with the engine with the center port with the engine with the emergency cylinder making the equipment operative doors closed with the piston with the emergency cylinder held inward with the not effect with the automatic operation of the door. The wiring is shown with the figures under and how it operates are only with the explanatory with the purpose of the diagram of these cars are shown in figure 146 and 147. The complete wiring piping diagram shown in figure 148 and 149. Reducing valve shown in figure 150 operates the same as the reducing valve with the A1A point governor reducer valve is playing in the water system. Alright, show for the figure 140 show for the indoor operating engine. Show for the gasket cylinder piston center for the felt ring with the gasket lock number plunger string, gasket fuel felt liber cup expander flower expander cup washer part lists. Connecting rod in the door open position. Position the club of the switch for the emergency door closed with the cylinder of the operating engine with the gear of the gasket at the door of the shaft. And connecting rod and emergency door closing cylinder. Alright, show the wire diagram. Porter's door switch battery, open manual, automatic, the door latches, and the time delay, pressure tap, magnet relay, battery, exhaust magnet type valve, the time delay, relay, micro switch, door reversing, and door reversing cutout switch. Shows another 3-position toggle switch from remain, open manual, automatic, Porter's door switch, battery, auto terminal board, micro switch, door reversing, doors cutout, reversing doors cutout, exhaust type magnet valves, M1 pressure type magnet valves, the M1, M2, and door shaft door latch switch. Alright, show the pliers design door switch in this picture. Piping wire diagram to end of the operation. Indoor operation. Alright, show the piping diagram strings filled with the air hose, hair moss, MOSS. Spring returning emergency line, exhaust magnet valve, string returning engine line, fixed choke, constant differential engine, speed adjusting fitting, pressure magnet valve, air strainer, air strainer, A1 reducing valve set with a 60 pounds front air train line. The N1A reducing valve shown in the bigger 150. Alright, here's how it operates. The dark black indicates air pressure, the gray indicates exhausting air. Show the Porter's door switch, the door reversing cutout switch, the door reversing switch, the top door shaft, time delay relay, door latch switch, the emergency door closing cylinder pressure type, magnet valve, feed, exhaust, indoor operation, engine exhaust type magnet valve. Or the door latch actually with the switch of the time of the relay with the double throw toggle switch, which is normally in the position figure A, the door with the handle, the push bar with the actuator with the draw with the latch, micro switch door lock monetarily, complete with the circle with the coil of the time delay of the relay across the lower side of the contact, end of the toggle switch relay opens within the lower contacts and it goes to the upper contact shown in figure B. Figure B show the Porter's D switch, reversing cutout switch, reversing switch to the top door shaft, the time D relay, the emergency door closing cylinder pressure type regulator, door latch switch, the V, the exhaust valve, and the indoor operation exhaust type magnet valve. Door opening when the time delay contact with the position shown in figure B with the circuit of the relay has opened with the circuit is complete with the upper set with the relay contact with the coil with the exhaust type of the magnet valve with the time delay with the relay coil with the D engine drive with the usually hold with the exhaust type of the magnet with the engine drive with about about 4 seconds, while the exhaust type magnet valve with the energy with the exhaust for the oil pressure for the end of the port, end of the operating engine with the pressure for the entering with the center port. Move the operator piston inward with the door opening direction. Alright, door closing, show the Porter did switch with the reversing as the door reversing switch. Time to be relayed to emergency door closing cylinder pressure type mill, door latch feed, the exhaust, emergency operating the exhaust type manifold. Notice the directions over the left, right, and then left again for the door closing. The door reaches fully open position at the expiration of the time from which for the time you relay the relay de-energized with the exhaust type of the magnet valve, the door closes. The door closed. The Porter's switch with the door reversing cutout switch, door reversing switch, door shaft time relay, emergency door closing cylinder pressure type of the magnet valve, the door latch with the V with the exhaust of the floor, and door operator engine exhaust type magnet valve. Air pressure valve with the end of the port, end of operator engine with the exhaust type of the magnet valve with the engine position closed completely out of the door with the closed position. The door is reversing cutout switch opens with the circuit with the door reversing switch for the door with the engine for the door jam cuts out of the reversing feature with the fuel power with the end operator with the engine is available completely in position and close the door. Show the reverser door reverse of the door is obstruct with the closing end of the door operator builds off about 12 to 15 pounds with the door again pounds at the door with against the obstruction on the compressor with the spring with the operator with the connection rod monetarily close the door reversing switch the door reversing switch monetarily completes the circuit of coil with the time delay relay across the lower side of the contacts coil with the toggle switch for the relay to open with the lower contact for the close of the upper contacts completing a circuit with the exhaust type magnet valve of the door then reopens as shown figure B, C, and D repeated. Alright, setting the door to remain open by setting the Porter door switch for the remaining open position, exhaust type magnet valve with the energy of the exhaust air port with the end of the port with the door operator with the opening of the door, the exhaust type of the magnet valve will remain, the energy of the door remains open. until the setting of the porter's door switch is changed. Our adjustment checklist. If the door binds at the top of the bottom, follow the instruction on the adjustment. A. If the porter door and switch manual position of the door does not completely check for the door latch, for the door shield, for the door for binding, if these are good order, follow the instructions under adjustment. C. If the porter door switch at the automatic position of the door reverses the door jam, check for the latch for the syncing of the interface, check for the weather shield for the door with the binding. If there are any good order, follow the instruction over the adjustment. D. If the porter door with switch automatic position door does not open properly with the latch actuated, check position of the latch for the key for the make adjustment for the cone for the lock instruction, which can be detained with the lockout manufacturer. If the doors are open too quickly, too slowly, follow the instruction under adjustment. E. If the doors are too quickly, too slowly, follow the instruction under adjustment. E. F. If the door is reversed and come together against for the obstruction of the door with the binding with the door is free with the follow the instruction under the adjustment. G. The condition also could be caught with the door closing too quickly, which could be corrected with the following instruction under adjustment. F. If the obstruction of the door failed with the reverse, follow the instruction under adjustment. D and G. If the timing of the door release for the latch starting with the closing with the incorrect following instruction adjustment. H. Mechanical adjustment A, B, and C. Air adjustments E and F, and electrical adjustments D, G, and H. Or adjustment instruction for the A. Your door shaft nuts. 2 jam nuts for the top of the door must be adjusted with the lower door of the end of the adjustment with the clearing for the top of the bottom of the door, after which the jam nuts must be pulled with the maintain with adjustment. B. Operator connecting the rods before making the adjustment of B. The back stroke with the D is far from the micro switch with the possible when air with the open the porter door switch to the automatic position. Adjust the operator with the connecting the rod with the turnbuckle. B with the nut with the operator with the flush for the end of the cylinder shown figure issue. G. If readjust with the striker with the corner with the instructor. D. Figure G show with the strip with the nut with the flush over the end of the cylinder. C. The emergency door closing cylinder connection rod with the before making the C with the back strike with the D as far with the micro switch as possible with an open porter's end door with the switch with the remaining open position. Adjust for the turnbuckle. C. And C is so that the clevis has been touched for the end of the clevis slot with a shortening of the connection rod with 1.5 turns for the turnbuckle. C with the readjust for the striker and corner with the instruction. D. As an adjustment for the door opening of the door close with the control fitting of the dented pin with the door opening fitting should always be adjusted before attempting to adjust the door closing fitting. Combine governors with the pressure regulators or air with the in-feed line with the end of the door operator. The adjustment can be made with the train line pressure with the C with the pressure with the which for the regulators set, which combined with the governor with pressure regulators or combined with the feed line with adjustment that can be made with the surface train and the line of pressure above 100 degrees, 100 pounds of battery with the battery fully charged with the generator operating. E. Door opening control fitting. When the door is closed with the latch between plate for the porter's door with the switch for the remaining open position after about 5 seconds with the relief of the door latch. Door shall be attended to the slam open to the lesson, loosen the jam nut, turn the adjusting screw into the door, opening with the control fitting of the door, open slowly back with the adjusting screw with the fitting until the proper speed is obtained. The lock of the adjusting screw with the position within the jam nut of the door, opening speed of 3 and 3.5 seconds. Alright, F, door closing fitting. Door closing control fitting the place for the porter switch for the remaining open position. Allow the door to remain open about 5 seconds, and then quickly place for the porter switch in the automatic position of the door. Is pretending to the slam close with the loosen of the jam and up with the turn with the adjusting screw, and then the door closing fitting. If the door closes too slowly, back the adjusting screw of the out of the fitting until the proper speed is obtained. Lock the adjusting screw in the position with the jam nut. Minimum door closing speed is 4 seconds. Alright, G, door reversing switch striker. Adjust the switch striker with the door with the close with the position. Porter doors switch in normal annual position about 1/16 with the clearance between switch striker and the micro switch plunger. And H, your time delay relay in figure H. Rotate the adjusting screw with the clockwise with increase the delay with the counterclockwise with delay the decrease the delay same when they should be 4 to 5 seconds from the time of the latch actuate until the door starts to close. Alright, your operator engine with the shop repair with the remove of the operator engine with the base plate with the valve with the disconnect with the unit of the which join with the airline with the twin with the port with the large cylinder with the cap with the exhausting tap with the magnet valve with the disconnect with the airline lead with the door open control fitting with the center port with the operator engine. 3. Disconnect with the main line with the rod connecting rod between the door shaft with the engine. 4. Remove the 2 bolts with the clamps hold with the operating engine fastened to the base plate with the disassemble the operating engine. 1. Place it in the bench vise. Remove the end cap. 2. Take out the entire piston assembly. Examine the piston cup with the lubricating rings. 3. Piston cap can be removed with the unscrewing the lock nut. 4. Piston cup can be removed by unscrewing valve or replace with the piston cup with the new ones. Inspect with the felt lubricating rings. Replace them. 7. Clean all parts and install with apply with the fresh key with the piston cup with the tube of the cylinder walls. 8. Saturate the 2 felt lubricating rings with SAE 30 weight oil. Before reassembling the lubricating oil with the replace with all the gaskets. 10. And then install the reassemble the engine with the base plate with a clamp firmly in position. 11. And test the main connecting rod with the airline piping with the center port with the door open control fitting. 12. The control completely installation connect with the piping between the cylinder and cap end of the exhaust type of the magnet valve. For valve grinding instruction feed figure 151 and 152. Our magnet valve type pressure show the spring with the valve with the plug, this coil car, push rod, cap nut, pivot screw with the rack nut, spring, and armature lever, and valve body seat. Show the volt valve grinding 32 coil number and magnet valve without bracket. Alright, valve grinding. To grind lower valve with the remove of the cap nut with the spring with the valve with the small quantity with the grinding compound with the plate with the valve face of the valve with the plate with the magnet valve with the rotate with the screwdriver until the valve face is smooth. With the grind the upper valve, remove the armature level with the push rod with the plate with the small quantity with the grinding compound with the valve face for the push rod with the plate with the magnet valve with the rotate with the push rod with the screwdriver until all the scores disappear with the valve face. After the valves have been ground with the valve face should be thoroughly washed with the salt with an air passage with the magnet valve shall be blown out with the compressed air with it. Make certain that there are no particles of grinding compound remaining in the magnet valve. The magnet valve has been reassembled to make sure for the top of the bush for the barrage object is 32,000 for the 0 plus 0,000 minus for the 10,000 for the inch from the base for the coil core with a push rod project for the less than 22,000 for the inch. It should be replaced with a new one. Magnet valve may be tested with the leakers with the air pressure gauge with applying soap with the water solution with the port with the magnet valve with the cool energize with the armature lever with the press from the manually. No indication the pressure should be obtained with the outlet connection with the magnet valve with the coil. De-energize with the no pressure should be obtained with the exhaust connection. The magnet valves will require no lubrication. Should have the heavy-duty exhaust type valve with the upper valve holder, with the lower valve holder, and the upper valve guide. And then show the part list, and then the valve grinding. Use the valve holder C21-300. Grinding of the lower valve with the uncap the screw with the nut, the lower valve C with the magnet valve with the body with the remove of the armature level with the push rod with the small quantity with the grinding compounds with the lower face of the valve with the relief with the magnet valve housing together with the spring and lower valve C. Valve holder is placed within the hole with the center of the coil with the slotted end of the valve holder will fit over the stem of the valve. Rotate the valve holder with the valve until the valve face is smooth with the tool with the grinding with the upper valve with the face with the consists of the valve holder C21-290 and guide C3-13622. Grind the upper valve with the face of the upper cap nut with the remove of the lower valve C with the spring with the valve with the magnet valve housed with the lower end of the valve with the end plate with the end of the valve holder and push away with from the guide with a small quantity with the grinding compound that is now applied with the upper face of the valve holder guide with the valve holder and place with the motor bottom of the magnet valve with the end of the valve holder with the project with the magnet valve is then rotated until all the score with the disappear with the upper valve face. Alright, after either valve has been ground with the valve face, it should be thoroughly washed and installed with an all air passage of the magnet valve should be blown out with the compressed air to make sure that no particle of the grinding compound remain with the magnet valve. Reassemble the magnet valve, make sure the top of the push rod projects 3 to 2,000 for the plus or minus 0,000 with thousand of an inch to minus 4,000 of an inch face for the coil energized push rod projects less than 28,000 of an inch. It should be replaced. Magnet valve may be tested with the leak of the air pressure gauge with applying with the air soap with the water solution before with the magnet valve the energize with the which armature with the press of the manual lead indicating the pressure that should be obtained with the outlet connection with the valve de-energized. And no pressure should be obtained with the exhaust connection. The magnet valves require no lubrication. Alright, move the emergency cylinder from the base plate. As valve, remove the bolts with the mounting brackets for the hold of the emergency cylinder in position of the base plate. 2. Take out the pin out of the clip. Withdraw of the emergency cylinder that can now be removed with the base plate with the disassembling. Caution, the spring of the emergency cylinder exert the pressure of about 90 pounds with against for the coupling. Therefore, by attempting to dismantle the emergency cylinder is equipped with the spring release device like one shown in figure 153. Disassemble the emergency cylinder as follows. Place it in the bench vise vertical position, hold the cylinder cap portion projection. 2. Move the nut and washer at the end of the piston rod with the day tab for the connecting rod jaw. 3. Use the snap spanner wrench for unscrew the slot near rear cylinder of the coupling, holding the coupling with a strap wrench to prevent it from turning. Then lift the cup guide with the end of the position rod. 5. The coupling should now be unscrewed with the main cylinder. Before doing this, however, screw 12-inch extension rod, see figure 154 with the end of the piston rod. 2. The serve the guide with the spring as being released by the cylinder. The place for the space of the C figure 154 over the extension rod with the top of the inner flange of the coupling. 7. Place the section of the spring releasing lever on the extension rod again for the top of the spacer figure 154, using strap wrench after unscrewing the coupling of the main cylinder with the muster that held with another strap to prevent the turning of the cylinder of the cap with the coupling almost fully screwed. Unscrewed from the cylinder. Be sure to hold the slotted spring of the releasing levers firmly against the spacer so as to release the spring solely. When the coupling off, then screw the main cylinder end of the cap still held in the vise. Then 10. Remove the spring with the piston rod with the piston assembly from the cylinder. Note with the inch of the correct with the reassembly mark end of the main cylinder, which is tapped at the end cap. 11. Then renew the piston cup with the full lubricating strip. 12. Remove the piston cup, then unscrew the lock, wash screw, follow washer, remove the expander of the washer, 13, clean all metal parts of the solvent, apply a flash grease, then the piston cup of the spring, interior wall of the main cylinder, saturate lubricating strip of the SA30 oil, reassemble the piston assembly shown in figure 155, reassemble the emergency cylinder as followed, with the insert of the piston rod, brought piston assembly through the end of the main cylinder was perfectly marked with the correcting attachment end of the cap, plate with the gasket end cap. 3. Then place the end cap projection of the vise over the screw of the main cylinder into the end of the cap and tighten. 4. Screw the extension rod over the end of the piston rod with the V-figure 154. Drop the spring into the cylinder. 5. Coupling over the piston rod extends for the recessed end of the coupling against the end of the spring. 6. Play with the slide section of the spring releasing lever over the piston rod extension. Press lever down on the top of the spacer against for the pressure of the spring until the threads of the coupling and the cylinder make contact with the screw. The coupling with the cylinder. Tighten the strap wrench. 7. Remove the spacer extension rod. Place the cap guide on the piston rod of the shown figure 154. Scrap the rear cylinder with the coupling used for the spanner wrench. Make certain that when tightened with the slide rear cylinder is exactly right angle with the end of the cap port on the correct side with the 9. Apply with thin film of grease along the interior wall of the rear cylinder to the edge of the slot. When the cylinder is 10, place the connection rod with the jaw on the end of the piston rod. Fasten it with lock washer and lock nut with the emergency cylinder cannot be detached with the base plate. And inspect the electrical door. Operative will be outlined in the superintendent yard letters dated July 1st, 1949. Procedure for the date of the May 1st, 1949 edition. The following lubrication should also be given to the door operator. Lubricate 2 felt rings located in the small cylinder. This is done by applying with lubricating oil that can have through 4 slots in the piston center. Door fully closed. Present inspection procedure calls for 20 to 30 drops of oil to be put in the operator's fitting of the eave of the fitting again to be seen in the illustration page 208. Alright, show the emergency cylinder and the emergency cylinder spring device. Alright, the bolt, the device, the top of the device jaw, the bolts, no mounting holes, top of the bench. Alright, post-war sleepers built with a Pullman stand with the head of the trucks designed with a General Steel Casting Company drawn with a 30-28-0 with assemblies valve with the truck with the 8-foot wheel with the base with a 12-foot 10-inch overall length with 7 inches width with the pedestal with the accompanying with a 13 and 3/8 of a foot or inch. 13 and 3/8 of an inch for the Fairfield rolling bearing journal with original wheel units for the consist with a 36-inch diameter, multi-wear solid with a carbon steel wheel with Class B mount with a 6x11. The roller bearing equipped with a Fafner roller bearing in box. Axle furnished with the car at the time of the delivery with the down equipped with the spline bushing with it. Those with the put-in production stock will have the spline bushing at each end of the protective wheel with the axle unit that are carried on the record with a unit roller bearing and the 2 rate for the inner water seal with the Fafner 6x11 and mounted T3702. Will have the Class A wheels, the journal box with the grease type with the removable with the same name with the heads, but only with a small allotment. The journal bearings will be locked, be soaked per Fafner drawing R6330. Carried in T3703 bolster anchor located outside of the frame between the truck and from the casting and the bolster, correct measurement over the center of the bolster and that of the truck frame, the distance for the 2 foot 1.5 inches nominal, both used in typical anchor T3784, while the 8 and the 6-inch diameter rubber pads catalog the T2864. Trucks have helical coil springs with both the bolster and the equalizer governor and corn with the car weight with the cushioner. And with the standard sounding denting in the fabric pads of the overspring with the center pass and plate with the GSC drawing 26349, inside diameter 15, 1 and 16th of an inch. Steel wear plate with the T2927. They give you the type of the center plate with the truck frame and the arrangement is to the drawing number 230, 28-1 outside of the type of the swing hair and arrangement employed with the bolster spring with the outside of the truck support with the swing hair. Purposely outside spring arrangement is the cushion of the roll of the car, support with the wheels, extreme outside, open side point, remove with the applying with a bolster spring with arrangement, reduce the labor and time save with the Monroe, shock absorb with the Monroe, drawing 1358, 0 with the catalog T, 37 with the 21. Use eliminate vertical motion that can be found on the lower bracket attached with the bolster, top shock absorber attached with the bracket on the outside of the truck frame. Brake cylinders are mounted on one each side of the truck with a slack adjuster mounted on the other end. Side bearings in simulating Guild resilient type of carry within stock T3 37 and 21 lateral adjustment held within between 1/8 and 1/316 per side. Brake rigging per American Steel Foundation drawing 80-43-0 broke powering number 90% lightweight car with 36 pound per cylinder pressure. Surface application 150% of within 60 pounds. With 60 pounds of emergency application brake beams, U with arrangement catalog file with inside beam T3613 offer steam set beam spice driver location T3615 offset team beam T3614 socializer equalizer pull standard drawing 170C 25 with a foot of 3 3/4 inch by 7.5 inches and employed with the truck arrangement. And all cars of the trucks are secured to the cars by 3-piece safety locking center pin. Class L3 method of remove the pin indicated with the plates locked on side frame truck frame. Alright, this shows the bolster spring. Equalizing spring, general toilet potter's area, equalizing spring, basic lower drawing of the car. And this was your Pullman manual truck brakes tap door closure. Close.